So hi everybody, my name is Amra and today I will be presenting a short paper with the title Observing Group Decision-Making Processes. So as a motivation for this work, mainly it was to understand groups in action in the context of group recommender systems. So as we know, current research in group recommender systems is mainly focusing on the aggregation techniques or on how to aggregate individual profiles into the group profile. And we know that there is no clear winner. So we are asking, are preference aggregation techniques really the silver bullet for group recommender systems, or should we also look at other facets of group decision-making processes? So just a short look at the state of the art. So there are two main approaches for aggregating individual profiles. It is aggregated profiles and aggregated recommendations. Many aggregation techniques have been developed and emerged from social choice theory. A part of the work has been also including the group decision and negotiation support. And there is also some, observational studies, but very simplified ones, done in the context of group recommender systems, such as when they asked participants, how would you recommend to this group of people, for example, what to watch? What we were motivated by were the observational studies more from the social disciplines. One of those is social sharedness, which evaluates the impact of the degree of information sharedness among the group members and how it affects the final group choice. The second one is the one which is suggesting that groups who take a certain structure in their group decision-making process make better decisions. And they propose the four phases for the group decision process: orientation, discussion, decision, and implementation and evaluation. So in our study, we did three phases study at 4 universities. In the first study phase, we did an online pre-questionnaire for our participants in which we captured their individual profiles. And by this I mean demographic data, their personality types, tourist roles or their tourist traveling attitudes, and also explicit 5-star ratings on 10 predefined destinations that we chose. Their second task was to do a group decision making, and we presented them with a very natural kind of scenario in which they could imagine themselves. And then we asked them to choose 2 top destinations that they as a group would like to visit. We also observed this task. Finally, in the post-study questionnaire, we asked for the first and second group choice, individual choice satisfaction with this group choice, the difficulty of decision process, and etc. So at the end, we had 76 participants in 24 groups of 2, 3, and 4 group members. Here I just, as an example, listed some of the comments that participants made on how they did their group decision process. For example, in the first case, there was this kind of elimination process approach. Then in the second one, group preferences were really similar and strong. And in the third one, the groups took some kind of voting approach. As a result, so first what we looked at were initial preferences, group choices, and how individuals were really satisfied with these group choices. So the destination ratings were normally distributed, but slightly high. And we also observed overly high satisfaction with the final group choice. Around 80% participants were very satisfied. This was even true for those which individual top choice was not in the group top choice. Then what we wanted to know is how the commonly used aggregation strategies would predict group choices. We found out that multiplicative strategy performed the best, but also we observed that aggregation strategy applied in a mechanical way might not produce a recommendation that a group would choose. Then we did some exploratory correlation analysis, and we found some significant correlations. So individual choice satisfaction was related to openness to new experiences factor. Then individual choice satisfaction and perceived difficulty of the group decision process was related to the participants' behavior in this group decision process. And thirdly, at the group level, aggregated choice satisfaction and difficulty of decision process were related to the diversity of groups with respect to two travel types. Finally, we analyzed the differences between high and low satisfied groups. We found out that high satisfied group, as it was expected, liked the 10 alternatives better than the not satisfied ones. They were also more open to new experiences and less neurotic. And also, they were more into sun and chill out travel type. As a conclusion, so we believe that research on group recommender systems needs more emphasis on group decision-making processes. Also, that predicting group preferences only based on individual preferences might not truly address the group recommendation problem. Next, the study really demonstrates that well-known aggregation strategies mechanisms cannot fully describe the outcome of a group decision problem. And finally, as we saw, some individual and group characteristics are equally important as individual preferences in understanding choice satisfaction at the end. Also, the findings of this study will be implemented in two applications. First one is a chat-based group recommender system developed by our colleagues in Bolzano University. And the second one is a picture-based approach recommender systems. So thank you very much, and I'm here for questions.
Thank you for this paper. One piece I didn't get clearly that I'm wondering about, I think we've all discovered that part of the problem is what you want to do with a group may be different from what you want to do by yourself. When you asked people for their individual choices, was it their individual choice for what to do with that group of people, or is it their individual choice of what they would like for themselves that might not be what they do with the group?
So we asked them only for their individual opinion without if they would like to visit this place with a group or not, just their individual opinion on this place.
Oh, hi. Good presentation, good research. I like to look at group recommendations much more. It's an interesting new field that we have not done enough research on. Now, you show that people are on average quite satisfied with the group recommendation, and you'd say 80% are satisfied. Now, we can argue about when is something when are people satisfied and when they are not, like where do you draw that cutoff point? And because of that, I was wondering, you also show that some of these aggregation strategies are kind of better than others from a, what was it, a performance perspective. But what about from a satisfaction perspective? And I wonder if there's if the most precise method is also the one that leads to the highest satisfaction.
So we didn't actually, to evaluate really how satisfied people would be with prediction of certain aggregation strategies, we would have to do a bit different study, like really to ask them, okay, if I recommend this to you, how satisfied would you be? So we didn't do this in this case. So, and the thing is that we really wanted to see how groups behave and what kind of actions they did during this group decision process. Yes?
Dan Cosley from Cornell and NSF again. So it's actually pretty cool research. And I was wondering, the way you described the decision process actually almost felt like a sequential application of some of these aggregation strategies, right? eliminate things with some level of misery, right? Not there, the actual decision, the concrete decision process, that, right?
Oh.
So there's this elimination process, which arguably could, map pretty closely onto something like, minimize misery. And then there's a strong preferences part of the process. And I wonder if you actually, as an algorithm designer, if you thought about this, right, at least the first two steps, could you sort of implement this almost algorithmically to do a better job in cases where you want to just present a group recommendation without having them, go through the chat or the picture selection process, which I actually think is a good idea, but you won't always be able to do that.
So the thing is, in this paper, what we really want to kind of stress is that these independent individual preferences are not the only thing that we can build upon, but also that like some preferences, these are just 3 examples. But also there were examples where preferences were really built during the decision process. So this is why we also have this chat-based group recommender system. And I didn't mention because there was not enough time, but in a picture-based approach, so we have the same dimensions as in this pre-study questionnaire. So this we will also try to somehow predict and incorporate.